In this episode, we meet a bird whose intelligence mirrors our own. Their problem-solving skills, social complexity, ingenuity, and mischief have held our imagination captive since we were first introduced to their dark wings and unique call. But the longer we know them, the clearer it becomes. They understand something we never will. The mystery surrounding the species has woven itself a narrative that threads through time, language, and culture. Legends label them as spies, choosers of fate, travelers and messengers between realms and seers. But these sharp-minded creatures, always close to humans but never domesticated, are bound to a centuries-old tradition. Should they ever abandon the Tower of London, the Kingdom of Britain will crumble and fade into memory. Yet for all their intelligence, perhaps the most unsettling question they force us to confront is this. What if some of our most cherished traditions, our oldest and most widely held beliefs, began as clever marketing schemes that hardened into mythology? Is that sinister? Or is it possible that sometimes the best traditions are the ones we deliberately, consciously conjure into being? This is Creature Meets Culture. Welcome back. It's the three of us. I'm so excited. Welcome everybody. I know, usually, is this the first time it's been the three of us since the first episode?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe so. The first episode was the three of us with Trim the cat.
Okay, well, we're back. Trimothy, we're back. Okay, what animal are we talking about today?
A raven?
Ravens.
Yes, so we're talking about ravens. Yes, we're talking...
2 bird episodes in a row.
2 bird episodes in a row, very different tones. At first I was kind of nervous to do 2 bird episodes in a row because I was like, I don't want to be redundant, but then it's not going to be redundant because this is a completely different bird episode.
Yeah, very different bird.
Yeah, yes, yeah, it's true. So a little bit of background, I started writing this episode as Ravens and the Tower of London, and it still is about the Tower of London and the ravens there. However, as I started to do some research, I kept on going down these different rabbit holes. It felt like everybody I was bringing up the episode to, they were like, oh, did you hear about this myth? Or have you heard about them in this context? And I was like, oh my goodness, there's just ravens everywhere all throughout history. And so I had to detour a little bit because I couldn't just stay with the Tower of London. I had to kind of go all over. So this is going to be a very fast-paced episode, and we're going to be all throughout time and all over the place. So buckle up because we're traveling. Hee hee.
Buckled.
I'm so ready.
Okay. All right, here we go. We're getting to it. Welcome. Oh, shoot. I forgot to say, oh my goodness. I was too excited about the ravens. I forgot to say, we are a new podcast. Hello, everybody. And we have an Instagram, and we have a Facebook, and we have a Reddit. So if you would like to follow us and join us, we would love to have you. We're Creature Meets Culture, wherever your social media presence lies, except for TikTok. I'm not cool enough for TikTok. Neither are you guys.
What's the Reddit looking like? A lot of action going on?
Nope, it's just me. It's a lot of crickets and a lot of me talking to myself. But
so someone go on Reddit and help W.
Please.
Come on, people. Meet us on Reddit.
I need one friend. Yeah. I am actually excited. I feel like Reddit is my go-to for a lot of things, especially anything that I have a question about animals. I feel like Reddit is my first place I go to.
I don't think I know how Reddit works.
I'll have to
Is
give you a
Reddit social media?
Yeah.
Is there media on it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of conversations.
Yeah,
Someone
it's like a boy.
give me a tutorial when you guys are here on Reddit.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
we will be there next week. Okay, so that was my little please come be our friend on social media. Okay, so today we're talking about the raven. Their scientific name is Corvus corax. They are part of the COVID, nope, not part of the COVID family, but they are part of the corvid family.
That is a super dope scientific name.
I know.
I've always loved that one.
Doesn't it sound like a character in Harry Potter kind of?
Corvid. Or
Corvus corax.
Avatar.
Okay, so the common raven is one of the most widely distributed naturally occurring birds in the world, found throughout the northern hemisphere. Ravens inhabit every terrestrial biome except for tropical rainforests. Adults reach up to 27 inches in length with wingspans 3.5 to 4 feet.
There's a thing like in the birding world that I'll tell you about. It's like if you see a crow and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a huge crow, then it's a raven.
Oh,
I love
Because
that.
they just look so similar to crows until you can really like pinpoint those distinguishing characteristics. But they are big. Like compared to crows, they are significantly bigger.
Do you guys want to know a fun fact?
Of course I do.
There's like not crows here. And I didn't realize until we were there visiting you guys, and Dakota was like, oh my gosh, all these crows are so cool. Look at all these crows. And I was like, wow, you're really loving the crows. And he was like, yeah, because we don't have them back home. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I can't remember the last time I saw a crow. Isn't that
Do you
weird?
have ravens?
I don't really see any kind of raven crow
Looking
mixture
thing.
here. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Interesting.
That is weird.
Maybe I'll look into why and let you guys know.
That would be great to know. I would be interested.
All right, follow up on the next episode.
Yeah.
But on the note of crows, some other differences from between ravens and crows. Ravens have a wedge-shaped tail and a heavier bill with a curved upper mandible, shaggy throat feathers called hackles, and they also glide on thermals like raptors. They're which is pretty fun and cool. Their calls are different too. Ravens go gronk gronk, and crows go caw caw. Right? Was that good? Was that pretty good?
Yeah, you sound just like
Thank you.
ravens. Their call is so much croakier, like
Yeah.
so much deeper and like throatier. But they also make all kinds of weird noises. Like I've heard them make just crazy noises that you're just like, is that a bird? And it's just making a noise that you wouldn't expect.
Ravens throwing curveballs left and right.
It's true.
Okay, so while their gronk gronks are weird and throaty, but that's what you use, right? Throaty.
Yes, they are throaty.
I don't love that word, but
I
okay.
don't love it either. It's weird.
Yeah, don't love it. What makes ravens really extraordinary is their intelligence. Ravens use tools. While I was researching this episode, I saw several pictures and videos of ravens using like little sticks to get things out of like wedges. They use stones to like crush snails. They even use stones to like drop on people. So like intentionally using tools. Not like stone, not like giant rocks on people, but like, yeah, they plan for the future, they engage in deceptive behavior, and they can solve complex multi-step problems. A recent study claims that by 4 months old, ravens have full-blown cognitive skills, and before even reaching their full maturity, their intelligence, this is disputed, but some studies say that their intelligence can rival adult great apes. They have demonstrated what is called displacement, which is the ability to communicate about objects or events distant in time and space, and it's a capacity that was previously thought to only exist in humans, bees, and ants. And if you're wondering if I'm going to do a bee episode at some point, the answer is absolutely.
Stay tuned, everybody.
we will be talking about displacement some more. But yes, so ravens have been observed breaking off twigs to use as toys, playing games with each other, and even engaging in what appears to be like pure play behavior, like play for the sake of play. And their social lives are also extremely complex. Young ravens are pretty gregarious. They form large communal roosts and they recruit each other to food sources. We're going to talk a lot about their scavenging behavior, but they are scavengers, so they'll like be at a place and then they'll like bring their friends on over. Breeding pairs mate for life and they fiercely defend their territories. They can recognize and remember specific people and adjust their behavior accordingly. So it's like noted that if you treat a raven poorly, they can remember forever that you specifically treated them poorly.
Be nice to your
I've
ravens.
heard that before. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's been some really interesting studies about that.
Ravens are omnivores and opportunistic scavengers. They eat carrion, hunt small prey, raid nests, steal food from other animals, and consume insects, grains, berries, and human waste. So, everything.
So pretty much everything, yeah.
Yeah, everything. They'll eat it. Historically, ravens followed wolf packs and even developed working relationships with them. They would locate large prey and lead wolves to it and then feed on the remains after the wolves made the kill.
Wow.
Wow.
It's
That's
very
incredible.
strategic. Yeah.
It is very strategic.
In North America, ravens historically followed American bison and wolf packs across the Great Plains. Call back.
Have you heard our episode on the bison?
You should. The ravens were there. So obviously just incredibly adaptable. They can survive in urban environments and wilderness, and yeah, they've got it going on. Excuse me? What? Oh. No, I didn't mean it in a rude way. Like, excuse me.
Excuse me?
I didn't say anything.
I know, but Savanna made a face. Like,
I heard whatever you heard, and I don't know what it was, but excuse me?
Excusez-moi.
oh my goodness. Okay. Wild ravens, most of them don't survive their first few years, but in captivity they can live a really long time. One captive raven at the Tower of London has lived 44 years. So,
Wow.
yeah, long time. Their brains are among the largest of any bird relative to their body size, and the part of their brain that is involved in complex cognition is particularly large. They have never been domesticated, but this is where I started to go on like the rabbit hole search, was that they've never been domesticated, but they are prevalent in so many cultures, myths, and legends. And so I just had to include some of it here. So before we get to the Tower of London, I'm going to take us way back in time. In Native American traditions, particularly among the Haida people of the Pacific Northwest, the raven is a creator trickster who brought light to the world and discovered the first humans in a clamshell through cunning and theft, not divine power. But the way that the raven is described is almost godlike, like is a creator and like brings things into being, but is also incredibly cunning and clever and smart.
That's an interesting combination.
Traveling again to Norse mythology, Odin kept two ravens. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to try. Odin kept Hugin and Munin, which means thought and memory. They flew all around the world every single day and came back to Odin and would whisper in his ear what they found. And the Viking warriors carried raven banners into battle, believing that they brought Odin's favor. Odin was also referred to as the raven god because of this.
Doesn't Dakota have a raven tattoo because
And
of
it
the
is
Norse mythology?
Odin's raven. Yep. One of them.
Really?
Couldn't tell you which one.
Is it Hugin? I like that name.
Want me to call him and ask him?
Okay,
Guest
just tell
star. You have Hugin
Yes.
or Moonin.
Those names
That's
are
really
way
cool.
too close to Hugin
Hugin and Moon.
Moonin.
They sound like siblings.
It's like naming your
They probably
twins
were
like
siblings.
Jenny and Benny. It's too close.
Jan. Okay, so we're traveling again to a Celtic tradition. They had a darker connection. The Morrigan was an Irish war goddess, and she took raven form on battlefields as the chooser of the slain. Bran the Blessed, whose name means raven in Welsh, has a legend that says that his severed head was buried at the White Hill in London, which is the Tower of London site, and it was believed to be a protective talisman for Britain.
His head.
Which,
Ew.
yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, traveling again. Ravens appear twice in the Bible. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Do you want to guess where?
Wait, let me think. I have no idea. Old Testament?
In the Old Testament, after the flood ended, Noah sent out a raven to survey everything to make sure everything was like good. And in 1 Kings 17, God sent a raven to feed Elijah during a drought and provided food and water.
Interesting.
Okay, we're traveling again. We're going to the 19th century, and Charles Dickens published Barnaby Rudge, featuring a talking raven named Grip. This was his actual pet, like that lived with his family, and Grip would bite ankles and buried coins in the garden. Grip died in 1841, and Charles Dickens had him stuffed. 4 years later, Edgar Allan Poe, he wrote a review of Dickens' piece in a magazine and was like, this is a really beautiful piece, but the raven needs to be more prophetic, which led to him writing The Raven, which is his most famous poem. Yeah.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
The stuffed Grip still exists today at the Free Library of Philadelphia. And ravens are around today in modern literature too. Savanna, do you know the reference that I'm about to make? Because you're the only person that has seen or read this.
Give me a hint.
I can't because I haven't seen it.
Oh, is it Game of Thrones?
It is Game of Thrones.
I cannot remember where there was a raven.
So I talked to Max about it. He
Was it
said
the witch's pet? She were raven?
there was a three-eyed raven that served as a mystical guide and keeper of historical memory. Max, I brought this up and he was like, oh yeah, the three-eyed raven. I guess that was like a...
Max would know.
But Max also said that ravens were messengers. Like instead of using pigeons in Game of Thrones, they use ravens.
That's crazy. I don't remember that at all. It was during COVID that I watched it. Everything's a blur.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've gone over some historical times that we've seen ravens. I also want to note, this wasn't in my notes, but I did think of it driving home from the gym today. There's also a raven in Sleeping Beauty with Maleficent that she sends flying off around to like see different things and then come back and report, which I wonder if is a nod to Odin.
Is that not a crow?
It is not a crow. I looked it up.
I feel like its voice is very crowish.
I feel like
Take
its
it up with
cartoony
Walt
voice
Disney.
is very crowish.
You know what I mean? Like
Very
whenever
throaty.
No, it's not throaty.
Oh.
That's why That's why it sounds crowish. I remember it being like caw caw. I don't know.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it was caw. Well, I don't know. When I looked it up, it said it was a raven, which would line up with what we're talking about. Behavior is ravenish, call is crowish.
You know what?
Do with that what you will.
TV and movies are really bad at getting bird sounds correct, so they probably were just like, close enough. Caw caw.
You are probably right.
Don't get me started on the bald eagle sounds.
Oh my goodness. In
It's
Disney
a
movies?
red-tailed hawk.
Oh
In
my
any
gosh.
movie, when they show a bald eagle, they play a red-tailed hawk sound because red-tailed hawk sounds super cool and bald eagles sound weird. So they're like, we need to give this a cool sound. So they just pick like another cool sounding raptor, but that's not what they sound like.
What does a bald eagle sound like?
They have this weird kind of like laughing sound. It's like,
I want,
I mean,
do
not
it again.
exactly like.
Right.
Sometimes they'll even play the red-tailed hawk sound over a vulture flying by, and it's like, oh my gosh, vultures don't even make sounds. This is embarrassing.
I'm sure they're very embarrassed. So we're getting back to the story. For most of British history, ravens thrived in cities as scavengers. Medieval London had no sanitation system, so streets were full of waste and were really nasty. Ravens helped keep things clear. Yeah, it's pretty icky. Actually, when we took tours in Edinburgh when we were there, the city is actually on a slant because the what's that called? Thank you. The castle was at the highest point, and then all the waste, because the city was on a slant, the waste would be pulled down to the bottom of the city, and that's where
that's
all
so
of the
sick.
waste would. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, on the tours, they were like, yeah, there's the window where they would just dump their poop out, and then it would just kind of flow down the street.
You're like, oh look, it's the king's poop.
Does it have a little crown?
Floating on by.
Yeah, well, the ravens ate that.
Loved it. Delish.
Understandably, they weren't romanticized or anything. They were very
Why
practical,
not?
eating that poop, being loved by all. But as cities modernized and sanitation improved, attitudes shifted. The city of London got a sanitation system, and ravens then became pests. They were raiders of livestock and even seen as ominous death omens because they would eat dead things. So
Just like the condors.
just like the condors.
Scavengers be getting a bad rap.
Yeah, but they were still in the city because that's where they lived, and so active persecution followed. The last wild pair nested in Hyde Park in 1826, and after that, wild ravens vanished from London and much of southern England. They were pushed to the outer regions. Today, Britain's wild ravens are restricted to Scotland, Wales, Western England, and Ireland, basically the more wild regions. And in London, you will literally only find them at the Tower, where they exist in captivity. Without human intervention, there would be no ravens at all. But Savannah, I wanted to get to this part. I wonder if part of this, I'm just talking out of my butt here, but I wonder if that is part of the reason why there are not ravens where you are. Maybe I don't
They
know,
were eradicated from the area.
I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe they were not welcome. I don't know.
All
They
us
said no, thank you.
hate ravens. Get out of here. I have no idea. I'll ask around, see if anybody's seen a raven flying around. But no, for real, I'll look into it and I'll see what's going on over here.
Okay. So that is, we're all caught up on ravens in Britain. And now I am going to share a legend with you that takes place in Britain. Okay, here's the legend. Are you ready?
Hold on, I found out why they're not in Kentucky.
Oh, perfect. Was I right?
No, you actually were.
Really?
We hate ravens?
It says there are ravens in Kentucky, but they are not common in most of the state due to historical population declines caused by habitat loss and persecution.
Don't be
Whoa.
persecuting the ravens. Get out of here.
They already did persecute the ravens.
Wow.
That's sad.
You know
Yep,
what is
so
funny that we're doing this episode is that the theme song of That's So Raven has been stuck in my head all day today. Isn't
oh
that
my
funny?
gosh, wait, that's so weird.
No, I was singing it all day at work.
No way. And I
Yeah,
didn't
let's
tell you,
hear
I didn't
it.
give you
I don't
any.
remember.
That's so Raven, it's the future I can see. That's so Raven, it's so serious to me.
Oh my
I
gosh,
was singing it all day at work.
it's all coming back. That
It's
is
a
so
mission.
funny.
You know what? That's gonna be the intro song
For this.
of this episode.
Savannah has always been like a little bit psychic, to be honest.
A little bit like Raven.
Remember the Christmas
Kind
present?
of, yeah. Like there's
You're
been a
like
few
this
times growing up when it's like something weird like that. But what are the chances you've been singing "That's So Raven"?
Yeah, I haven't thought of that like in forever.
That's so weird. But you know what? I have never seen you stop in the middle of a room and look all funny and wide-eyed. Because I have tried to watch that show back, and I cannot get past the fact that if I was at school with somebody who just stopped in the hallway and shook their head all funny and then just didn't blink for like minutes, I couldn't. I
Did
couldn't.
no one ever say anything to her? Like, what's wrong?
Or like her parents didn't take her to a doctor. Like that's my big
parents
She
thing.
knew she was psychic. Her parents and her
Oh,
friends
okay.
know.
But come on, that's
Okay.
Okay, anyways,
The legend,
that is not our legend. Although Raven is a legend. Okay,
Shout out to Raven Simone. Listen to
love
our
ya.
podcast. Get on Reddit.
We're waiting for you. Okay, the legend goes like this. In the 1660s, King. This is a big departure from That's So Raven.
That's okay. We're ready. We're flexible.
Okay. I did tell you to buckle up. In the 1660s, King Charles II had an observatory in the White Tower, at the Tower of London, where his royal astronomer, John Flamsteed, worked. Wild ravens, hundreds of them, congregated around the tower, and Flamsteed complained that the birds kept flying past his telescope. Some versions say Charles himself was fed up with raven poop on his equipment. Flamsteed requested that the ravens be destroyed. Charles was about to order their removal when a courtier reminded him of an ancient prophecy. If the ravens ever leave the Tower of London, the White Tower will crumble and the crown will fall. The kingdom will be destroyed. Charles, perhaps mindful that his father had literally lost his head and the kingdom just 2 decades earlier, decided not to risk it. He took back the order and instead decreed that at least 6 ravens must always be kept at the Tower of London. To solve Flamstein's problem, Charles relocated the Royal Observatory to Greenwich in 1675. And so the legend says ravens have been protected residents of the tower ever since, guardians of the kingdom, living symbols of Britain's continuity. And while it's a really great story, it is almost certainly entirely untrue.
Oh my
What?
gosh.
Okay, so now we're in today. Okay, Geoffrey Parnell is the keeper of the... Wait, hold on. I want to say this right because this is a really cool job title. Geoffrey Parnell is keeper of tower history at the Royal Armouries and the official historian of the Tower of London. He has conducted extensive research into the tower's 1,000-year history. He has looked into everything, and his conclusion is that the Raven legend and the story of Charles II and Flamsteed, all of it is actually a Victorian invention, probably created in the late 1800s as the tower was being reimagined as a tourist attraction. He didn't find any references to resident ravens at the tower in any historical records before the late 1800s. There were no mentions in royal decrees or chronicles, and no references in any of the documents from Charles II's reign. Flamsteed did work at the tower, but there's no evidence that he ever talked about ravens or complained about them.
That is so weird.
Isn't that strange?
So they just made all that up?
They did. They made it. Yes, yeah, they made it all up. In fact, the earliest confirmed reference to ravens living at the tower is an illustration in 1883. And that was like the very first time that ravens were like documented being there. So the legend that was like said to happen in 1660, and that was when like ravens started living there. If the legend is fake, where did it come from? And that is what we're about to explore. We are now jumping in time again to the Victorian era where this fake legend was born. Are you ready?
Ready.
We're going to the Victorian era. Nope, Victorian era. Victorian era happened from 1837 to 1901, and this was a time of intense cultural change in Britain. The era was defined by industrial and technological advancement, massive imperial expansion, dramatic population growth and urbanization, rigid class structure alongside growing reform movements. There were scientific breakthroughs happening and the transformation of Britain into the world's dominant superpower. And there was also a lot of dark things. What?
They had a lot going on.
They did have a lot going on. There was a lot of social inequality, harsh working conditions, which I think is one of the like hallmarks of the Industrial Revolution, and the tensions inherent in just rapid modernization. Industrialization was transforming the country, and there was a really strong desire from the government's perspective to formalize rituals, create national identity, and connect to a glorious past, even if it's just imagined. Basically, they just needed people to get it together. Fun fact, this is also when cats became household pets because of Victoria's love for them. It has nothing to do with our episode, but I just have to say that is when cats became beloved by all. And
By
I will
all.
always by every single
Literally
human.
every person.
So there's one good thing that came out of it. But yes, so historians actually use the term invented tradition to describe customs that are designed to appear ancient but are actually recently created. And the Victorian era is full of them, but everywhere is full of them. American tradition is full of them. And while I wrote that, I was like, you know what? I bet they're going to ask, Debbie, tell us about some invented traditions. And I was like, I got you, girl. So I'm going to give you some invented traditions. Are you ready?
That is such a fascinating concept.
Yeah, it is. What?
So it's very strange.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. So one of the first one that popped up is Scottish Highland dress and tartans. So
No.
yeah, so to kind of like where we're at today is that there are clan specific tartans or like patterns on tartans, and like based on what family or clan you're a part of, you have like a specific pattern or color. When Max and I went to Scotland, to Edinburgh, our last name is Kirkpatrick. So we, like everywhere we went, everybody knew our family history. Everybody knew our clan history. And Max spent like literally 3 hours at a tartan shop talking to somebody about like our clan's tartan and the patterns on it and what it meant. And apparently that was largely invented or standardized in the early 19th century. Before the 1820s, tartan patterns were actually associated with regions, not specific clans. This is not to say that the clan tartans do not exist today and do not hold importance, because they definitely do. And just because it's invented doesn't mean that it's not important. But historically speaking, clan tartans didn't exist before like 1820s, and that's believed to be because royalty brought attention to it, and that's when it started.
Did you tell Max about that?
Actually, I did not tell him about that, but I will. But I
He's gonna be like, that 3 hours in that shop was a waste.
But that's the thing, is it a waste? Because it was still a really cool 3 hours that he learned about like his family history and connected to this like cool
But
guy.
it's a false
Is it his family history though, or is it a big fake?
No, it is. It's still, the family history is still there. Like the clan history is still there and accurate. I don't know. I'm on board. I feel like it's still cool.
Debbie's on board with lies.
I am. I think I am kind of on board with lies. Okay, are you ready for some more uproar and things you're about to be more upset about? At the dawn of the 19th century, Christmas was not really celebrated in a way we would recognize. A lot of businesses didn't consider it a holiday. But by the end of Victoria's reign, Christmas had become the biggest annual celebration in the British calendar. It's believed that Christmas trees in Britain were actually introduced by Prince Albert to mainstream British culture in 1848. And the Illustrated London News published a drawing of the royal family around their tree, and that is when the tradition spread throughout Britain.
What was their like reasoning behind that? They were like, it was just part of their propaganda of making interesting traditions, and they're like, we're just going to cut down a tree.
A tree.
Here's a tree. Honestly, I didn't look too far into it. I was looking up like invented traditions.
I would like to say thank you to that royal family, because Christmas trees are like my favorite part of Christmas. I like stare at it with just joy and like peace, and it's just the most beautiful thing.
Aww, that's so
And
sweet.
Eric asked me yesterday, he was like, so do you want me to unplug the Christmas tree, or like can I unplug it at night? And I was like, there will be no unplugging. You keep the lights on all the time. He's like, well, what if it like catches on fire? I'm like, I'd rather have our house burn down than come home to a non-lit Christmas tree. Because
That
it's
is
like,
so dramatic.
I'm telling Nala.
it was dramatic. But like coming home and just walking in and the tree is lit, like that just makes me so happy. And I'm like, don't you touch that plug.
Another invented tradition, the modern version of Father Christmas emerged during the Victorian era, and it was influenced by Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, which was written in 1843. In Charles Dickens' book, it's a man in a green fur coat spreading Christmas cheer, and this ended up being merged with American, I don't know if you've heard about Coca-Cola actually inventing our idea of who Santa Claus is, with like the big red coat and like jolly beard and everything. That was Coca-Cola advertising.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
the two merged.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so those are my Christmas invented traditions. It's noted that traditions typically emerged during times of anxiety about national identity. By the late 1800s, the Tower of London was being reimagined as a tourist attraction. The tower's nearly 1,000-year history encompasses its role as a royal palace, fortress, prison, execution site, jewel house, and tourist attraction, making it one of Britain's most iconic and historically significant buildings. Some interesting, weird things. I was going to say some fun things that happened here, but none of them are fun. Very famous public executions happened here. Anne Boleyn, to name one, Lady Jane Grey. And it made sense to add ravens, because ravens are spooky and ominous and historically have like all these myths and legends wrapped up with them being communicators with life and death. So they're like, yeah, ravens fit great. And at this time, they were already associated with doom and prophecy in British folklore because of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven and Charles Dickens' book. These two things were thought to be like pretty big influences of like, okay, yeah, people are going to get on board with this idea. And it's likely that ravens did maybe scavenge around the tower at some point, and like they would have been attracted to that site. Ravens would have naturally been attracted to a site like the Tower of London, but the grand legend about Charles II appears to have been retrofitted later to make the tradition seem older and more significant than it actually was. And the weird part is that it worked. The legend became so embedded in British culture that it stopped mattering whether it was historically true. People believed it. The ravens became real symbols of British identity and continuity. The Victorians had successfully invented a tradition, and then the tradition invented itself into reality. During World War II, London was devastated by bombing raids. The Blitz killed tens of thousands of people and destroyed much of the city. The Tower of London itself was bombed in 1940, and while the White Tower was not compromised, all of the ravens that had lived there either fled or died during the war, except for a mated pair named Grip and Mabel. Grip, named after Charles Dickens' book. Yeah.
Not the same bird.
No, sorry, not the same bird.
Where's Grip?
Hey, he's back. I know, I wasn't kidding about being all over the place. We're all over the place. We're in a, different Grip, but same reference. And then...
So that, goes along with the story, that not all of them left. There was still some.
Yeah, exactly. But, the stories did say that there had to be 6 at all times.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So, still, it didn't work. But then, the pair eventually disappeared. Some accounts say that they maybe ran away. Other theories, one theory suggests that Mabel was kidnapped. But by 1946... by 1946, there were no ravens at the tower at all. It's believed that might have happened a little bit earlier, but for sure by 1946, no ravens. Yeah.
So did everything crumble like they said?
What a good question. No, it didn't.
How can
Everything was fine. And to take it a step further, well, actually, everything was not fine because they were coming out of a war. It actually was not publicly announced that the ravens had left or fled. They kept it to themselves and just quietly brought back 6 more ravens.
What?
Yeah, by the time...
We're not going to tell anybody about this.
You know what this reminds me of, Savanna?
Blue.
Oh, no, what?
Blue, our
Blue
rat.
and Blue, too.
Blue and Blue 2. We didn't know there was a Blue 2 until much later, and then our parents revealed that we got a rat, and shortly later it died, and then they got another rat that looked just like it, and then all this time we never knew we had 2 rats.
That's so sad. When did you find out?
A long time after. We were
15 years later.
teenagers or something, yeah.
Really? Oh, that's sad. Well, yeah, the Royal Palace did the exact same thing as your parents.
That's a tried and true
Method.
It's been going down in history.
Where our parents learned it from.
Okay, so once they, fun fact, it was actually Churchill, Winston Churchill, who had ordered the replacement ravens from Wales and Scotland to bring them back to the Tower of London. Why are you laughing?
Go get me some replacement ravens for the White Tower. Now!
It sounded like you were going to say, ordered them on Amazon. I'm just going to order some new ravens.
These days, what can't you order on Amazon? Okay, so it was at this point where they really, really upped their game. And the post-war ravens, they were actually, and to this day, they are cared for by a Ravenmaster. The role of Ravenmaster was formalized after World War II, and the to this day, the ravens at the Tower of London have always been cared for and kept there. And I am going to talk a little bit about the Raven Master because this is wild, you guys. Okay. The Raven Master is one of the tower's ceremonial guards. That is like their full-time job. It is understandably one of the most unusual jobs in Britain. They are responsible for the physical and psychological well-being of the birds. They feed them, monitor their health, trim their flight feathers, which is different than clipping them. The requirements to be a ceremonial guard at the Tower of London, and there's a bunch of different responsibilities. There's obviously the Raven Master, but they give tours, they guard the jewels, I was reading they actually live on site. It's like a very hands-on job and lifestyle, but the
They guard
requirements.
jewels
Mm-hmm.
as well as take care of the ravens.
Oh, one person is the Raven Master.
Oh,
There's like one, and then there are other guards that do other things. The requirements, they must have at least 22 years of service in the British Armed Forces. They must be at least officers, and they must have earned the Long Service and Good Conduct Medal. Wow. So it's like, yeah, so these are like really respected and accomplished military servicemen. Yeah. Ravens at the tower are fed twice daily, and their diet is deluxe. It's very fancy. What? I wrote down what they ate, but just know that it's super fancy. They're fine, I'll tell you. A diet of raw meat. They eat mice, chicks, rats, assorted raw meats purchased fresh from Smithfield Market. And they're also given blood-soaked biscuits as treats, which sounds really nasty, but it's probably yummy for them. And they each eat about 6 ounces of meat per day.
I shouldn't have asked. That was gross.
I know, I told you. I tried to tell you. Okay, so their flight feathers are trimmed, not clipped. Clipping means cutting the feathers down to the shaft, which can cause permanent damage. Trimming is carefully shortening some of the primary and secondary flight feathers. So they can like fly, but not very far. So you're right, they can't fly well.
Like chickens.
Is that what happens to chickens?
No, they just can't fly very far. Like just like up into trees and on roofs, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see.
Now the ravens fly like chickens. Very poorly.
There's bad flyers, okay?
Okay. It is noted that at the Tower of London, each raven has a distinct personality. Some are very bold and mischievous. Some are shy and more reserved. Some are aggressive. They often play pranks on each other and on humans. They steal sandwiches from tourists, it's been noted. And they have been known to play games with the Raven Master. They recognize individual people and adjust their behavior accordingly. And if they don't like somebody, they'll treat them differently than people that they like. One of the previous Raven Masters actually wrote a book called The Raven Master, My Life with the Ravens at the Tower of London. It was published in 2018. And he said that ravens, they're super smart, obviously, and they could probably manage escaping if they wanted to, but he believes that they stay because they're super well fed and socially stimulated, and that they live in an enriched environment. Currently, there are 8 ravens in residence. The traditional number is 7 because there are 6 plus 1 spare in case something happens to one of the main 6. So they're making sure they have
the
all main
spare
6.
raven.
The understudy. The current The current Raven Master is named Barney Chandler, and he took over the role in early 2024. Not every raven has been content with tower life, though, contrary to what was written in the Ravenmaster's book. Some have gone absent. Raven George, so all of the Raven's name, it's like Raven and then the name. So Raven George was dismissed for eating television aerials. He systematically destroyed multiple aerials on tower buildings. He had like a system, and he had a scheme, and it caused a bunch of damage, and he was retired from service.
He was dismissed.
I don't totally know what that means.
Like, killed?
It's just obviously nowhere said that he was killed. I think that
How do you just tell a raven goodbye? Don't come
I
back.
feel like maybe dismissed to the wild is what I would like to assume.
Wait, so
What?
are they in an enclosure? How is he getting to all these television areas?
Yeah, well, they're at the Tower of London. They're not in enclosures. The tower is like a castle, so they can fly around the castle and stuff like that. So here, let me 1 second. It's they have an enclosure that they probably put them in at night and stuff like that.
Walking around in the
That's
grass.
so weird.
Yeah.
How, just on these huge grounds, how do they keep track of them?
I mean, the Raven Master has a big job, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
want to come back because they're getting fed like a bunch of meat.
that's what he was saying, was that they want to be there because they're taken care of really well.
That's kind of sad, the ones that get dismissed.
I
Because they're really
know.
smart, so I wonder if they're sad about it.
I don't know. But
Or
yeah,
are
I
they
mean,
like dismissed?
yeah. Okay, so that was Raven George. He got dismissed. Raven Grog was last seen outside of an East End pub, and his fate remains unknown. So sometimes they do escape.
How
That's
did
what
they
I'm
know it was
saying.
him?
So he just flew to a pub.
Well, if they see a raven that's around the tower, but it's not at the tower, they can presume that it's one of the ravens because there's
Oh,
not
because they're
ravens in
not
that
anywhere
area.
else. Oh, I guess that's true.
I'm surprised they don't have GPS trackers on
Oh, you know what? That's a great point. Maybe they do now.
Wait. If they're not ravens around the other part, then I bet he was dismissed.
them.
Well, for listeners, Savannah is dramatically dragging her finger across her throat while she's saying dismissed.
Because, if they don't want ravens flying around, then they wouldn't just, let him fly off into the sunset, right?
But okay, we're moving on to Moonin, who was named after Odin's raven. Moonin flew off to Greenwich and was missing for 7 days and was actually found and brought back.
What was he doing while he was gone?
I couldn't tell yet.
I
Making
found out
new
what happened
friends?
to George.
Tell me what happened to
You
George.
mean Grog? Oh, George.
George.
The dismissed
George.
one.
So sad.
Hate that for him.
He wasn't.
That's true, but it's still sad.
He was basically in a zoo. He was confined and
Okay, yeah, that's
fed.
true.
That's the
Yeah,
same
you're
as
right.
being in the zoo.
He was in
Yeah,
a fancy zoo.
He was in a very fancy zoo.
Now he's just in a regular peasant.
An interesting one. In 2013, a fox broke into the tower and killed 2 ravens.
Oh.
And another raven, Charlie, which is a funny name for a raven,
These are all funny names.
yeah, it's true, bit a bomb sniffing dog, and the dog grabbed him with his mouth. And yeah, a police spokesperson said that the bird probably died of shock.
Oh.
That
But
is
also probably died because he was bitten by a dog. Well, he wasn't sniffing the raven. He was at the Tower of London, and the raven went up to him.
Oh,
Any
he just
bombs in here?
dive bombed.
I bombed him. Get it?
Wait, was there any consequences for the dog killing?
Probably not. I feel like the dog was just doing its thing.
Like it was an accident.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it should have consequences. I'm just wondering, how strict are they? Are they gonna then dismiss that dog?
Oh my gosh, to the Welsh Zoo. quote unquote. It's what they want us to think. Okay. Um, ba-doop-a-doop-doop-doop-doop. Yeah, the Tower of London is an invented tradition, and there's ravens to this day, and they're there, and they will be there.
Um,
I think you're right.
this is super interesting. I think, like, I find ravens very, very fascinating, but the whole idea of the invented tradition, I am just very interested in. Because, I mean, like, all traditions are invented at some point,
I was
right?
gonna say.
But,
Yes, all
but I
traditions are
think
invented.
the point, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's it's invented in a sort of like a deceptive way because
Yes.
it's like, oh, we're going to invent this and then say that this has been like a long-standing tradition that kind of
Yeah.
came about organically when really it was very like manufactured and very thought about, usually in like a propaganda way.
Max said that the internet's term for it is psyops.
What does that
And
mean?
yeah, it's I guess
You say
that's what
Cyclops?
I did not say cyclops. Psyops, like psychological operation.
Oh,
Oh.
So psyop meeting is a military and government activity that uses psychological methods to influence the emotions, motives, and reasoning of a target audience to achieve objectives. So it's like this sinister version of invented traditions, which is
interesting.
yeah. Which is like what you're saying essentially is like a tradition, be like, oh yeah, we've always been doing this. This is how it's always been done. So then you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, everybody's been doing it forever, so I'm going to keep on doing it. And that is like psychologically manipulative because that's actually not true.
Hmm. So when you go to the Tower of London and you take a tour, what version did they tell you? Did they tell you the one where there was the guy in the observatory and you know what I mean? Like, are they keeping up the invented tradition or are they uh, being a little more realistic with it?
I will read you what the official Tower of London website says. So I am on the Historic Royal Palace's website on the Ravens page, and the headliner quote is the quote, "If the ravens leave the tower, the kingdom will fall." It says the tower ravens names currently, which are Harris, Jubilee, Poppy, Edgar, Georgie, Chaos, Henry, and Poe,
That's more than six, isn't
which
it?
makes me think of Teletubbies.
And Poe!
Oh. Okay, so it says the legend of the Tower Ravens, which it gives the legend, and it says absolutely nothing about it being false.
So they are sticking with their story after all this time.
Yeah, yep. It talks about the diet. It talks about why are the ravens' wing feathers trimmed. Um, it has a nice video about ravens at the tower. It says nothing about it being fake.
Wow. Interesting.
Which I guess that's where like the question comes, right? Is like, is that like right or wrong? Like, is that like in the name of like keeping a tradition alive? Is it fine to be like, oh yeah, this is the legend, this is it, whatever? Is that like morally okay?
They could just still do the tradition and not lie about it.
Yeah.
Like they could just keep their six ravens and be like, but this is how we actually came to the six ravens. Then you still get the tradition, but you're not just telling falsehoods.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pretty credible that it didn't happen.
When people say legend, though, I don't usually think of accuracy.
That's
Like,
true.
so when you say like, "Oh, the legend is blah blah blah," it's kind of like, "Oh, that's where people kind of think it came from," but it probably didn't start that way. At least that's what I have in my mind. So I think it's kind of in the phrasing. If somebody like
That's true.
asked them specifically on the tour, like, "Oh, is that really how it happened?" And they were just like, "Yes, it's historical fact," then I'd be like, boo, that's just a straight up lie. But if it's like legend has it that blah blah blah, that kind of leaves room for embellishments and kind of stories and stuff,
Yeah, it's true.
in my opinion. That
All
was
right, so that's the
so
Raven episode.
interesting. Just the
Okay, I
whole
love you guys.
concept.
I love you. Okay.
Oh
Okay,
my
wait, let's sign off. Let's sign off. All right, friends, I love you.
I love you. See you in a week.
See you in
See
a
you in a week.
Bye.
Yay. All right, I love you. Bye.